Welcome to the Creepy Side of NEPA's Creepy Shorts. A selection of some of our most terrifying stories from past episodes. Now is the time to turn off the lights, if you dare. Turn up the volume and enjoy this hand-picked story from our tomb.
Hello and welcome to the Creepy Side of NEPA's Creepy Shorts. I am Dan Kosloski. On this Creepy Short, we dig back deep into our crypt to find episode number 2 with some stories about the Scranton Cultural Center located in downtown Scranton. Joining us on this episode is John Cardoni, General Manager of the Scranton Cultural Center. Let's listen back to our second episode of the Creepy Side of NEPA, released back in 2019.
Certainly anyone who's been to Scranton recognizes the building as the old Masonic Temple.
It's a very iconic building downtown.
Absolutely. Designed by architect Raymond Hood, who designed the Chicago Tribune building, the New York Daily News building, and was one of the lead architects on Rockefeller Center shortly before his death. So
he did a lot of iconic buildings.
Yeah. And this was a contest that he won. The Masons were running to design and build a new home for their various lodges and offices in the city of Scranton. But the Cultural Center broke ground in 1927 and opened in 1930 for both private Masonic use and public use. And of course, with the Masons comes a lot of supposed mystery and secrecy. So it's ripe for stories to grow up over.
Correct, yeah.
And the Masons themselves contributed to that in the early 1930s when stories started to leach out into the public, as it were, and eventually reach publication levels in letters to the editor of noises and things that go bump in the night in the Cultural Center, well, then the Masonic Temple.
Right.
It led to the secretary of what's known as the Valley of Scranton, the organizational structure for all of the Masonic lodges in the area, to issue a contradiction letter to the editor in one of the Scranton papers in 31 or 32.
So that's pretty early in the building yet.
Absolutely, saying it's natural for you to hear noises because the building's new and it's settling and so on and so forth. Those stories persisted for quite some time. And to this day, every once in a while, I'll hear a lodge brother say something about having been in a meeting and could have sworn that somebody was in the room with him. Whether that's just hyper-extended sensitivity because they were in the room alone and it's dark and it's eerie, or whether they actually felt something. I can't say I wasn't there, but I have experienced that in the building on occasions where we are late at night doing some operation and you walk through a darkened room and the little hairs stand up and you just
get that creepy feeling.
Well, yeah, I'm not creeped out by it, but certainly alerted that there's something there. And there's also the physical nature of a building. When you enclose a large space and you put somebody in it, your senses get heightened because you're trying to get feedback from walls that aren't nearby anymore.
Right.
But that doesn't explain why it happens in small rooms like our library. Well, the library story is probably the older of the ones that we are familiar with. The library, when it was under Masonic control, literally was a library for use by the Masons and other Masonic members. So
where is the library located in the building?
It's on the second floor. It's now known as the Governor Casey Memorial Library in honor of the late governor who was responsible for the initial grant that helped us form the Scranton Cultural Center at the Masonic Temple. Back then, it had a reading table and several comfortable chairs, and the Masons could go in and read. And dress in those days for Masonic members was a dark suit and tie, and officers wore tuxedos. So on one particular occasion, as the story goes, certain members arrived early and decided to go to the library to read the day's papers, and they saw someone sitting in a chair that they did not recognize. And a couple members gestured to each other to step outside because it was a silence policy in the library.
Okay.
And asked if anybody knew who the new member was, and they didn't, so they went back in to ask him to come outside, and he was gone.
And that was the only exit probably where they were standing, right?
Well, that's just it. It's not. There is a hidden exit in the room.
Oh, there's a hidden exit actually in the room?
That leads to offices. So you can sort of debunk it and say, okay, guys, look, there was another exit, but it leads to offices, and those offices were occupied.
Right, somebody would have saw him leave.
Right, exactly. So there was no record of anyone seeing him according to the story.
If you would like to hear more creepy stories about Scranton, Pennsylvania, and the Scranton Cultural Center, you can find more back at episode number 2 of the Creepy Side of NEPA, Scranton, PA. Thank you for joining us for this creepy short. Until next time, enjoy the Creepy Side of NEPA.
This has been the Creepy Side of NEPA. If you have a spooky story that took place in northeastern or central Pennsylvania, send it to ghost@WNEP.com for your chance to share it on an upcoming episode. We're dying to hear from you.